I have an emergency tip for you if you're constantly thinking about a member of the opposite sex, someone special, someone in particular, someone who you are really invested in emotionally, and you can't seem to stop thinking about them, especially if they rejected you or abandoned you or hurt you significantly. It's definitely one thing to take the time to recover, to heal. It's definitely important to learn about mechanics behind attraction and rejection and things of this nature. But if too much time has passed, like a month, 30 days, or even 3 months. 3 months is probably like pushing it. If you're still kind of like in your own head a lot, constantly either beating yourself up and wondering what went wrong, or if you're constantly on TikTok or YouTube, just overloading yourself with information like an info junkie, this is a sign that you may need to just stop. And I'm actually saying this for myself as well, because I'm reflecting on something that I said the other day. I said, if you want to find something, you have to stop looking for it, because it's you looking for it, you wanting it in the first place, that's actually causing you pain. It's not the fact that they have chosen someone else or they've gone separate ways or abandoned you or hurt you or whatever. It's that, unfortunately, whether it's anxiety or depression, where we're living in the past or the future, our mind isn't even in the present. And I know that sounds really simple, but unfortunately, we're kind of stuck. We're reminiscing a lot. We're trying to make things work. We're trying to self-edit ourselves. It's possibly true that the other party was feeling the exact same way. I don't really know. But that's for them to figure out, if that were the case. Another sign that you may be not in the right headspace when it comes to you constantly consuming media and information is that you are allowing another consciousness in your mind. God forbid more than one. What does that even mean? Because technically it's not possible in a sense, but it is definitely possible to have another consciousness this close to your own. If you know the game Halo, you'll know the character called Cortana. Cortana, I recently heard her being described as another consciousness inside of Chief's head. In the same way, she's also described as another voice inside Chief's head. A consciousness is a voice, and by constantly consuming media and all kinds of things, especially when you're trying to self-edit, which is just not good, you are letting these consciousnesses, these voices, exist in your mind instead of your own consciousness. You don't allow any room for your own feelings. You don't allow any room for your own thoughts. You don't even have a voice, because you constantly consume media. Even me right now is potentially another consciousness entering into your headspace. Because right now, as you're listening to me, you're not having any particular thoughts. You're just absorbing the information that I'm sharing with you. And you're digesting it as I speak. And maybe as a little bit of time passes, you might feel that digestion and then just move on to something else. It's much worse when we're on doom scrolling, right? Obviously. But that's the point. Your consciousness has no room to exist when you keep on allowing that space to be occupied by other consciousnesses, by other voices. Now, here's the real kicker. The third sign that we need to completely just stop what we're doing and stop reminiscing over our ex or our best friend, etc. The whole reason that we are suffering with this problem, the pain, etc., is because the problem exists in our mind. Now, this is a fairly esoteric way of me saying you manifested this. How do I mean? I've come up with an analogy that can help you understand this. Imagine it doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man, right? Let's say there's a big, obese woman who you are in a relationship with. You did something to attract that obese woman as your partner. She didn't just fall out of the sky, all big and plump, and become your girlfriend out of nowhere. Something had to exist in your mind for her to exist. It is the same thing when it comes to your problems. No building was ever constructed without ever first preceding thought. And so the whole reason we're suffering emotionally, our partners distance themselves, they've hurt us, some weird ass shit is happening. We did something to attract that. If we assume the role of radical accountability, understand that we did something to cause that effect to come about into fruition. So it's our job to figure out what the hell was that even there in the first place? Why, like, let's say you're obese or fat, right? Is it the sugar's fault and the wheat's fault, biscuits, that you're obese? It's true that biscuits and stuff have their effects and they cause you to gain weight, right? But what was the biscuits and the sugar doing in your cupboard in the first place? You agreed to consume sugar and let it into your life. It really is the same way with our mind and these things that have manifested around us. This could be really sneaky too, where sometimes we're completely oblivious to how this operates. For example, some type of pole in the form of conquer and divide. For example, you might have heard or seen TikToks that go over bare minimum versus princess treatment. There's like a spectrum, like a stick. Bare minimum, princess treatment. They're kind of like two poles. But the problem with the stick is that you're kind of brainwashed accidentally into believing that this is the true reality, this is how things are. But no, it's not. The real thing is, it's all about personal preference. When I heard that for the first time, my mind was like blown. I was like, whoa. And it just goes to show how easy it is to accidentally fall into the trap, to get Snoop Dogged, to have your own consciousness stolen, in a sense, into believing some type of narrative.